Hi everyone, welcome to your first Flutter workshop. So today we will be going through how to make your first Flutter app. So here are a few quick concepts before we get started with the app. So classes are basic building blocks in object-oriented programming. A class is used to define an object. Objects are another word for abstract data types in object-oriented programming. It defines a set of properties and methods that are common to all objects within that class. Inheritance allows us to copy the properties and the methods from one class onto another class, as you can see in the flowchart to the right. The class transport is being inherited by the class car and the class bicycle. They each have the properties seats and dimensions from transport, whereas they have their own data such as engine and wheels, which are individual to each class. And the final topic that we will be going through is the @override. So @override will be used a lot in Android Studio, and it is basically an annotation used to let the compiler know that we are using a method from an inherited class. This is used so as to make sure that when we are copying the method in our child class, we are not making errors, and the compiler will warn us. All right, so onto the first Flutter concept, that is widgets. Widgets are used to build the Flutter UI. A widget is basically another name for a class. Examples of widgets are text widgets, row widgets, column widgets, stack widgets, etc. The whole Flutter UI is built by creating a tree of widgets known as a widget tree. And there are two different kinds of widgets: stateful and stateless. Stateful widgets are those that can change throughout the course of the program, such as sliders, checkboxes, forms, etc. Whereas stateless widgets are ones that never change, such as icons, text, labels, etc. On to the first program. Right, so the first thing we will be doing is going up to File, selecting New, and select New Flutter Project. Select Flutter Application. Let's rename the application to Hello Flutter. And click Next. And finish. Right, so once Android Studio is done loading everything, we will be presented by a sample program. Now the first thing we will do is we will test out this sample program that we get. First we open up the AVD Manager in the top right corner. Now from here we will go on to creating a new virtual device. We will select the hardware profile that we want to use. We will select the system image to be used in the hardware profile, and we should be done. Now I'm not going to run this specific hardware profile because setting up takes a lot of time. So instead I will be running a hardware profile that I've already set up before. So now once we have the Android emulator running on our system, we can simply check to see that it is connected with our Flutter application, and all we need to do is click Run. All right, so once we have the demo app up and running, we can see the different components that build up the Flutter UI. We have the app bar at the top of the screen with the title within it. Then below that we have the body with the content of the body within it. Right, so now let's stop that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this whole section. We won't be using that for the rest of this workshop. So now if you look at this, it's a very simple program. All we're doing is we are importing the Flutter material package. And here we have run app. And inside this, what we are going to do is we are going to add the material app. So run app requires us to pass in a widget for it to run. So what we're going to do is we are going to pass it the material app widget, which is going to serve as a template for our application. And within material app, what we're going to do is we can start by giving it a widget home. First, we have to give it a child home. Now, like I said before, the home widget is basically just a class. So we'll be creating class home extends a stateless widget. And over here, we're going to put the @override function. And within this, we're going to create a function that returns a widget, build, and inside this, build context. Right, so build is a method which is being inherited from stateless widget, and that is why we use the @override function. Now let's say, for example, over here I add another method, say int count. This will automatically warn me that I made a mistake. All right, so now what we will be doing is within build, we are going to return a scaffold. Now this scaffold is going to basically serve as a canvas for everything we do. Now all programs and everything we make will be within this scaffold. So the first thing we will do is we will create an app bar. So we will create a child app bar and pass it a widget app bar. Within this app bar widget, we will create a title. This is the widget text. Within this, we will add hello world. Right. So now let's test our program. All right, so now once that is done, we can see that we have an app bar at the top of the screen with hello world coming up at the top left corner. So now what we want to do is, if we want to center this title, simply go down here and we will type center title true. All right, now that that is done, all we need to do is save So now the ability for Flutter to reload the application, reload a part of the application as soon as we make a change within the application, is known as hot reload. And this basically allows us to quickly test a small change of code without having to recompile the whole program. So now let's go on to actually making changes in the body of the program. So we'll go down below the app bar and we will create a new child called body. So within body, we will pass it a widget center. What the center widget does is it centers anything that's, it centers the child within the function, within the widget. Within center, we will create a child and pass it the text widget. And within the text widget, we will put hello world. Now we'll save it and we'll go back to our program. As you can see, it's written there performing hot reload, and now we can see a hello world in the center of our program. Now if you want to modify the text, what we can do is within the text widget, we'll create a text, we will create a style child and we will pass it a text style widget. Within this text style widget, what we can do is we can change the color to colors dot blue, colors dot blue, and then we can change the font size to say 30, and then let's make it bold. Font weight bold. Font weight dot bold. And what we'll do is within the title we will add a style child, text style, and we will change this one's font size to 50. Now going back to the program, as you can see, again, it is hot reloading and we're done. So this was a short example of a basic Hello World program in Flutter. Right, so if we want to go a little bit further, what we can do is we can change the background color. So we go down here and we go background color and change this to black, colors.black. And now our background is black. Right. So similarly, if at the bottom you guys want to add an extra floating action button, so what you can do is right below body, create floating action button, and pass it the floating action button widget. So what we can do is on pressed and here we can do focus color, color is dark gray. Here we'll create child text and we'll create style colon text style. And what we will do is font weight dot bold colors dot black or let's leave this. Font weight bold, font size 15. And here what we will do is below child, we will change the background color to colors.blue. Save that. And now we have a floating action button at the bottom. So in future workshops, we will now be learning how to make even more complicated applications, such as a 2048 app. We are pretty much done with our first Hello World Flutter application. So thank you for attending this workshop, and I hope to see you in other following workshops.